From our studio in Atlantic City, and tonight from the former House of Blues at the former Showboat Hotel and Casino, I'm David Spatz, and coming up next, we'll have some laughs with comedian Jim Breuer on tonight's edition of Curtain Call, and it all starts right now. Well, you know, the only thing better than the view behind me, and the view is courtesy of the patio of the foundation room at the House of Blues here at Showboat Atlantic City. The only thing better than the view behind me is the view this way. Jim Breuer, good to see you. Welcome back to Atlantic City.
It's good to be back.
All right, listen, before we go any further in the show, I want to borrow a page out of your show. Give me 5 seconds of Goat Boy, let's get it out of the way. Okay. 3 seconds. We'll talk about the origins of Goat Boy a little bit later on. You're here doing heavy metal comedy. The world's first. Okay, there we go. Judas Priest. You started doing this. I know you wanted to do it like 5 years ago. September 5th, 2001?
Yeah, 95 I started dabbing, thinking about it. And then 89 I filmed something with it, and then 91 we went on tour, but you know, it ended pretty briefly.
It was 2001.
We started September 5th.
Right, but the review was it Boston?
Boston College. We were sold out. We sold out in Long Island, North Carolina. We were just about to, continue the tour and hit the South. But
so why now? Why is the time right now to get back to it?
Well, since then I had 3 kids, so everything's a little more stable at home.
Right.
And now I have the time to do something like this again and perfect it. And I got the band back.
Right. Exactly what are you doing? You're doing comedy, but
you've got stand-up.
It's stand-up comedy
with like a rock catch to it. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you'd start off with the band. They'd play a little, hey, here's the catchphrase.
Right.
And then I come in and do a little stand-up, and then so, in stand-up the big laugh is ha 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 ha. The band will bring it to the ha 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 ha.
So the band kind of helps out with the punchline.
Absolutely.
Or the band is the punchline.
Or they could be the punchline tonight.
I've heard a lot of comics say they want to be singers. Singers say that they want to be comics.
Right.
And comics say, hey, listen, singing's easy because you got a band behind you. If you screw up the song, you just go to the next song. Comics, they got it more difficult. They don't have a band that they can turn to.
We're all alone.
But is this a safety net for you?
No.
Okay.
No, if anything, it's more dangerous because I could tell you this now, but we don't get to see each other a whole lot. So the only time we rehearsed was about 2 hours ago, which is 4 hours before the show.
Right.
So we just put this thing together. The crowd doesn't know that, but...
Right, but what was it like? Okay, so you haven't seen these guys in a while.
Right, so like if we figure out, all right, when I'm talking about being a kid and we're coming home, what kind of music are you going to go to? Da-da-da-da-da. But now what if I improv for 20 minutes? Are you going to be able to take it in a different direction? Because musicians are 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go to the B, and then we come here, and then we come back to the... Where... I can go anywhere, so I need good guys behind me to watch the show. They basically just watch me the whole time.
But this is kind of like taking comedy and trying to capture the feel of the 80s concert
80s
act.
metal concert.
Right.
And you go there, and there was this, as soon as the lights went out, you would stand in, and you would rock it in the aisles. This is what I want to bring back. With a goof, a little laugh to it.
Right. You graduated high school and went toward comedy when all your other friends were veering toward music.
Towards music.
Well, how come you didn't go toward music?
I couldn't find the right band. That's really what it came down to. I tried 1 or 2 different places, but stand-up was way more natural for me. I had a silly childhood, silly parents, silly family, so that was a lot easier.
But it wasn't a tragic childhood.
It wasn't a
disturbed childhood.
No, it wasn't disturbed. Like
yeah, you hear somebody go, yeah, exactly. Comics say, oh, I had this terrible childhood. And
it was horrible. I was born with no feet. Right. My father would beat us. Our dog would lick our wounds. All right.
No, you didn't have that. But you grew up in a low-income housing, but
we
you didn't
grew-
know it though.
No,
You
I didn't know
it.
until I was like, I didn't know we were poor when I grew up. I mean, technically, yes, we're the typical dysfunctional family. It's about 8 of us with 6 different fathers, and I grew up in a housing project, which I didn't even know it was until years later, when I went to go pick up a friend. I'm like, hey, we're going to Fenwood Apartments. I'm like, the projects, the low-income houses. I'm like, hey, I used to live there, and so yeah, I didn't even realize that. And then for years we lived in someone else's house, the Lings. We lived in the Lings house, and we rented the upstairs. And I was this fat kid. I was 82 pounds in kindergarten. So I just remember every day I was really into Batman. So every time the Lings would leave, they're like, you stop, you all day long. All I hear is boom, dun 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 dun. You run upstairs, be Batman all day. No more watching Batman. It's me jumping off the bed. And,
All right, so, now you brought up Batman. You told me when we talked a few weeks ago that the variety shows of the 60s and
Flip
70s,
Wilson show.
that was your inspiration.
Yes, Flip Wilson, Laughing.
You were just a
I was
little
4 or
kid.
5 years. See, on TV, when I was about 5 or 6, what I loved about TV then, which I would love to see again, is I remember sitting down with my sister, who was about 16, 17. I was about 5, and my parents were late 40s, early 50s, and all of us were able to sit down and watch TV together. And there was nothing, Sonny and Cher. It was Red Skelton, I
Right,
believe.
yeah.
It was Flip Wilson. It was Laugh-In. It was all these great shows that everyone could sit down. Now there's nothing like that now.
And you say you would like to see that
Would
come
love
back.
it. There's no reason why we can't.
Yeah, I was going to say, why can't we?
Because we live in a dark society where now we must sell sex and darkness and sin and money and deceit. One nation under God. Keep selling. Keep selling.
It's a shame he won't come out of his shell. What is it about those shows that ended up inspiring you as a comedian? What did you? I mean,
I loved the laughter, and I loved making people laugh. I loved, my dad was funny. My brothers are funny. I grew up in a very healthy, there was a lot of booze involved. As a child, I didn't realize how much booze was involved, but still, it was a very healthy, happy environment. So I just grew up. Lauren Hardy every Sunday. I would watch Lauren Hardy. To this day, my favorite film is March of the Wooden Soldiers.
is it really?
It comes on right after Mighty Joe Young.
Do you feel
Lauren,
like out of trapped in a different era? You like maybe you should have been born 20, 30, 40 years earlier?
No, because it could always come back.
Okay.
I'm catching it on the backswing.
See, in the 80s too, that was the first time period where music was, touching people and made them a little more violent. You look through the history of time and how violent we've become as a society. Music explains all of that. If you look in the early days, you had the swing and people like, and then people started clapping. And then when metal came, people started running their hands like this. And then the mosh pit came. It was only a matter of time for the lights go out and someone go. I'm your biggest fan!
All right, let's fast forward. You graduated high school, you did a little college, a little comedy and everything. 1995, you get hired, SNL, Saturday Night Live. How did that break come about? I mean, people killed for that one.
I wouldn't say it was a break. It was more like a series of mishaps.
Was it something that you
No.
you didn't pursue it?
No, Matter of fact, when I was first asked to audition, I said no. And they said, no, it's all new writer, because I knew some people that were on there, and they were miserable. They weren't...
Well, the show had its ups and downs over the years, right?
Its ups and downs, and it didn't have a good reputation amongst the entertainers.
Right.
It was a hard place to be. People were miserable. But then they said, it's an all-new cast, all new writers. So I auditioned. Finally, I was doing something for NBC. NBC wanted to sign me to a late night deal with Jay Leno, or try to develop something for late night. And then they asked me to audition. And when I auditioned, the next day in the paper it said, you can write off comedian Jim Breuer because he's out. And I didn't realize at the time that was the first year that NBC was saying, you know what, we're going to help cast this thing too. And I guess that was Saturday Night Live's way of going, no, you're not.
Right.
Because we still got the paper and you write that. But, I started in July, auditioned. Had a call back at the end of July. They met me in the beginning of August. Kept me on a list to the middle of August. Came to see me in the club the end of August. September they came in, meet me again. And that was finally hired about 10 days before it aired.
And you were on one of the first shows this season, but then they didn't see you for what, a few months? Or?
I really didn't. So I had 9 episodes, and I really thought I was going to get fired because my first episode I was cut, which I didn't mind. My dad did. My dad met Lorne Michaels. He's like, flew from Florida, see the kid on a show, and he went on it. It's like, I'll be on next week. So I had little spots here and there, the background guy, and then all of a sudden, the Joe Pesci, which was really me hanging out with friends going, hey, should we get something to eat? What are we doing? What are we watching tonight?
Did you always do impressions? I mean,
no, only people I really liked.
Okay.
Only people I really...
Right.
I saw Pesci in Raging Bull.
Right.
And that was a turning point for me. This guy's a nutball. He's an animal. And then the Joe Pesci show was the first show, probably about 2 weeks before my contract ended. And I think that was like, all right, he gets an extension.
What was it about Joe Pesci that you were able to just nail him? And did you have to work at him? Or
No, I was doing him since I was 14, 15 years old.
Right.
Whenever Raging Bull came out, that's when I started doing Pesci. And then he was in Easy Money.
Right.
And for years, we're like, hey, you know who built the toilet in this place? So it just came natural.
And Goodfellas and My Cousin Vinny
My Cousin Vinny.
So by the time you started doing the
already
Joe
had a
Pesci
locked
show,
and loaded.
Exactly. and people knew who he was and what he was all about.
And I feel great. It was the first time I saw Lorne Michaels bust out laughing at a table. I was really flattered by that.
Does Saturday Night Live kind of bring out more from performers than they may ordinarily have? In other words, before Saturday Night Live, impressionists were just that. They were impressionists. Rich Little, David Fry, Frank Ocean. They stood up on stage and they said, well, here's this voice, here's that voice.
Right.
Then Saturday Night Live comes along. And all of a sudden, just about every cast member started doing impressions. I mean, whether
when you
Belushi,
audition, they make you do 3 impressions. So it's almost like a standard. You have to be able to do some type of impressions. But now, there's still a lot of comedians out there that are doing impressions. But I would say now the big place for it is Saturday Night Live, really.
Right.
Unless you get an HBO special or something.
All right, so now you're a hit on Saturday Night Live with the Joe Pesci show. Where did Goat Boy come from?
Goat Boy
A dark place? A fun place?
No. Goat Boy came from, literally, I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world to pretend I had like a spasm, almost like a Tourette's. Not that Tourette's is funny. And instead of swearing, the guy would just bleat. So he would just, walk in a bar like, hey man, let me get 2 Budweisers and a shot of Daniels, please. And it was a goof, and someone watched me carrying on one night. Everything I did in Saturday Night Live was a goof, me hanging out with my friends. And then it just took that one writer to go, hey, I know what to do with that. And that's how the goat thing started.
And you've embraced that. I mean, there are a lot of comedians who will develop a signature bit and say, you know what, I'm tired of that. I'm not doing it anymore. I can't stand it. But
I have no problem with that.
Right. But you get it out of the way
Unless it
early.
makes you laugh. Yeah.
Right. In your live show, though, you get it out of the way early.
Yeah, right away.
Because otherwise they're going to be yelling for
What's
it all
up?
night.
Good night. I'll move along. My oar.
You left Saturday Night Live, or they left you in 98. Fast forward a few years, I guess it's been about 18 months, you took comedy into the cosmos. You left planet Earth and signed on with Sirius Radio. And you told me that was probably one of the most significant things that's ever happened to you.
Best gig I ever took in my life.
Jim Breuer Unleashed.
Breuer Unleashed.
Monday through Friday, 4 to 6.
Monday through Friday, 4 to 6, and it repeats from 9 to 11 Eastern. But satellite radio, I can only imagine when I would hear, my parents and elderly people going, when radio first came out, we'd sit down, it was compelling, it was great storytelling, and I'm a storyteller. So, the storytellers kind of got pushed away after the 80s. It became, whatever, you had your Seinfelds or whatever.
Right.
And this is the first place, too, where I could do wherever I want. Some days I'm serious, some days I'm a dad.
And it's not just the fact that, okay, you can say whatever you want.
No,
and
and
cursing is
that's the only
involved.
bad thing about satellite. Everyone just thinks, ooh,
You talk
can,
dirty.
You can talk dirty
Yeah.
and you can say whatever. Yes, you can do that, but there's so much more that's just simple and just funny that can now be presented where regular radio it doesn't even, regular radio's.
And you've got your friends
awful.
on the show with you as
My
regulars.
high school friends.
Wow.
My high school friends are on there. I have a comedian friend there for 12 years. So the chemistry is monstrous.
Does the show prevent you from doing other gigs? I mean, you're locked into that Monday through Friday, 4 to 6. How does that work? If you want to
Now
do
I'm really comfortable. Now, like for instance, the fall
Right.
I'm going to go on a tour. We just bring the radio show on a tour because we have the equipment
Right.
to tape whenever we want. Our show could be done at 9 in the morning. You don't know it, and we're playing it at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like Friday, I wanted to take the day off. It was gorgeous. So we all met at 10 in the morning. We sat on my dad's front lawn, his 55-year-old, an older development. Everyone's looking out the window. What are you doing on the lawn? And we're all sitting on the lawn with glasses and coffee and our sunglasses and our headphones. People walking their dogs in 2 hours, and it's really the only place where you can laugh hard and then get dead serious about anything, whether it be your view or your faith or your angle on this. It's true personalities.
Let's get back to talking a little bit about stand-up because the nature of your act seems to have changed now that you're a dad and a husband and everything. Family figures more into your material now?
Yeah, there's two. I can only do what I can relate to.
Right.
Even the heavy metal mentor, the material is most probably mid-90s when I was doing it because I was still that, let's go out, let's go to concerts. I haven't been to concert in 11 years. Matter of fact, tonight after the show, I can't wait to go to bed already. But yeah, it's all family stuff. There's 2 tours. There's the Family Man Tour,
Right.
which I play a whole home video before with the whole family, and then pretty much squeaky clean family. And then tonight, which is squeaky clean as far as the content, but it's just loud because I got the band. It's got more of a rock edge. So yeah, it's way more family oriented, except for nights like this.
All right, so because this is the heavy metal.
It's heavy metal, man.
This is okay. They don't
You're
want to
a
hear
little loud.
They don't want to hear about your kids.
We're
and,
gonna talk about kids
diapers
and dad tonight.
Nah.
We're gonna talk about metal. We're gonna talk about 18 tripping for the first time. You shouldn't do that.
No, we don't do that. We don't
No
talk
bad
about
stuff like
bad
that.
Stuff. You did the movie Half Baked with
Yep.
Dave Chappelle.
Yep.
And was that a turning point in your career as an actor?
No, matter of fact, it ended my acting career.
Geez, what's it going to take to get it back?
Probably just doing stuff on my own,
Really?
which I have a lot of intentions on doing. Just build my own empire, and that's what I've been doing last 5-6 years. Half Baked was, I looked stoned all the time.
Right.
So I think people just assume
Was that
I
makeup or what?
No.
It was you.
Honestly, I remember doing that movie. There was one scene where I actually was, and it was an accident. I was cut for the day. And I was relaxing, and they said, "Oh, this guy's gonna quit. We need you back in an hour and do one line." I was like, "Oh man, I don't know if I can do this." But that's the last movie I really did. The only movie I did.
You haven't been approached since, or?
No. Weird, right?
Yeah, it is kind of
A
weird.
little weird.
Well, that's got to come back at some point.
I'm not too worried
But
about
you say you want to build your own little empire. You had a motion picture.
I'm
You
building
did
an
television.
empire.
You got the comedy tour. You got radio, kind of dialed in.
You got everything.
What about getting back to television?
I don't see doing it. I dipped into every world, and I guess I would say I like things done my way,
Right.
and no one else has appeased to me or appealed to me in the right way that I want to be put out there.
Are you difficult to work with?
No, far from it.
Okay.
However, everyone else is very difficult to work with.
On that note, I know they're waiting for you downstairs
All right, man.
in the music hall. Jim
Great
Breuer,
to meet you.
continued success.
Thank you very much.